Hey now, hey now, hey now, hey now, hey now, I'm wearing a shirt for once. Hey now, that's a reason to celebrate. Hey now, this is gonna be pretty great. Hey now, hey now. Let's see. Can you hear it now? Nope, I don't hear it. Can you hear me? Oh, geez. It's not letting me.
Then we also test for things like pesticides, heavy metals, residual solvents, among other tests used to snip out some of those contaminants. The lab performs a technique called real-time quantitative polymerase chain reaction. It sounds pretty complicated because it is. Let's just say that this process entices bad stuff to reveal itself by emitting a fluorescent glow. We also look for microbiological pathogens like E. coli, salmonella, things that make you sick, as well as pathogens like aspergillus that can be especially dangerous in especially for patients.
Hey now, it's pretty choppy, but I can hear it.
You hear it now?
Yeah, it's better. Yeah,
You can hear it now?
yeah, I can hear you well.
All right, just please give your color commentary and interrupt whenever.
So those are the standard tests that are performed in every batch of cannabis sold in California.
But those tests aren't happening everywhere.
I can pause it.
Even in some states that have legalized, dirty weed is still for sale. Because of it.
If you got something to say, I could pause it like this, all right?
It's too small for me to see. I can't rotate my phone to make it bigger.
Status at the federal level, national safety standards are unlikely anytime soon. So regulating weed remains a free-for-all, whether it's the stuff you smoke or the stuff you eat.
What do you want me to say? Those bastards.
Whatever.
There's something sometimes, you know, it's
whatever you want.
or deal with the
You know, my mom just gave me her iPad today, so I'm going to activate that tonight. I'm excited about that.
In places where legal cannabis is available,
But my phone is being stupid.
Significant decrease.
So your iPad's going to help you?
Yeah, because I can't even see the screen on this thing.
Many of those suffering.
Maybe if I
are replacing their pills with.
let's see.
It should just be legally
The
nationwide.
StreamYard is being weird.
Let me see if this helps.
People decide.
Does that help a little?
A little bit. Well, your audio when you talk is perfect, but that's pretty scrambled. The video. The audio on
The video audio is not that great?
Yeah.
Call it a crazy quilt. The patchwork of state laws that determine whether weed is legal and to what extent, wherever it is that you live. Though weed is still prohibited in 15 states, against the law in any form and under any condition, legalization
That's a
is
bunch
the
of
trend.
baloney. How dare they?
As of 2021, 35 states now allow the use of medical marijuana. And of those 35, 16 now also allow the recreational use of weed.
Hey, it's weird how they draw the line between the recreational and the medical. Some people can cheat and use it recreationally and get the same effect. And medically, you know, some people say they're just dressing it up and adding terminology to make it seem safer and more legit. Like, where is the line drawn?
Yeah, I thought recreational you weren't allowed as much as, I'm sorry, I thought medical marijuana you weren't allowed to have as much.
Well, they have rules about how many plants you can have if you're growing and stuff, and how much you can have on you at a certain time. You know, you're just not allowed to drive with a certain amount in the car, and there's other little rules inside of rules.
And also, earlier in this documentary, it stated that CBD is different. That does something different to you than THC?
Yeah, it can be extracted separately and sold as a something that doesn't get you buzzed at all, but can cause you to heal, to go to bed like the best sleeping pill in the world. It can be used topically as a lotion and heal any type of skin rash. It could do. It's kind of like, you know how aloe vera they were calling the miracle plant because it has like 4 or 5 different uses. That weed has a million different uses, and it does something different for every single person. And I believe it could do something for almost everybody. Almost.
So this documentary, the producers of this documentary, they can recommend people take a combination of THC and CBD.
Yeah, that's what I do.
And also, they had Ricky Williams, who he quit the NFL after like his 11th season because they were going to force him to have 9 tests per season, and that marijuana stays in your system for up to a month. So he wanted to open up some kind of like a herbal store, and he has 2 master's degrees. And recently, the school, like a long time ago, it took down the statue of him, but then recently they put it back up. So he's really happy about that.
Oh, interesting.
Do you remember Ricky Williams, the football player from Texas Tech? And I forgot who he played for professionally.
Oh, I don't follow sports at all, man. I was the
I don't
nerd.
either. But so there's certain stories that get into the mainstream news, or it's just like that. Sometimes I'll just look at the headlines of sports.
Yeah.
And sometimes sports overlaps into other issues like drugs.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
That's the only. I'm not heavy into sports either, but sometimes
If somebody gets arrested, I follow the story. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Recreational party as well. So, wondering about the legal status of weed where you are? Here's the
No.
roll call.
Yay!
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Go green. Go green or go home.
At first, they showed all these states on the map, and I couldn't get all the middle United States.
I'm always shocked on which states it's still illegal, and it seems so arbitrary and strange.
No, I'm not shocked. It's mostly southeast United States, Georgia, that area,
Yeah.
and then Texas and Idaho. It's all the usual states that are very conservative. Oh,
Yeah,
by
I
the
never.
way,
Oh, go ahead.
Coach Erica Love told me she does not indulge in marijuana at all.
Yeah, I didn't think she did.
Do you remember what you were going to say?
Oh, I was just gonna say I was kind of voted by everyone that knew me as the person least likely to smoke weed. So my journey is very interesting and dynamic and not something I ever thought I would take on in a million years. I was very anti-weed because of the religious stigma, quote unquote. And any way you slice it, even when I was in my dark sort of running away from God years, my rebellious years, even then I was a very cautious person. I was a very careful person. I didn't want to take anything into my body that if there was a 1% chance it would cause brain damage that was either, irreversible or not, I didn't want to take it on. So when I preach,
that's interesting that you use the word religious, because most evangelical Christians say they're not religious. They have a personal relationship with Jesus.
I'm trying to speak broadly on purpose to, if somebody's going to watch this that might not, broader terms. So, but yeah,
I know that's why.
Yeah.
That's why I can't even stand that when people who are evangelical use the term, because it's like that word just has different meanings depending upon who states it. Basically, evangelical Christians are saying that they're not into mainstream religion, and mainstream people just think you're really into like whatever faith you're going to, whether it's mainstream or evangelical.
Yeah, it's used in like a floaty sense, nothing concrete, just like a spiritual, hodgepodge sense.
And also your name is Maddie the Spiritual Man on YouTube, so it seems like you know what you're supposed to word yourself or name yourself.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that you use like the 2 different words depending upon who you're trying to reach. But you're still trying to reach a broad audience with your Maddie the Spiritual Man. So it's kind of a contradiction, but I'm glad you joined my stream, so I don't really want to bust your chops about it. I'm just pointing it out.
That's fine. I've had a hard couple of weeks, believe me. I've got stories up the wazoo I want to tell you about.
All right, so let's start. Let's continue.
Do we know enough about the medical benefits of weed? And if not, why not?
In the eyes of the US federal government, heroin and weed are considered equally dangerous drugs. Both designated Schedule 1 drugs.
Oh, by the way, this is on a non-biased network, Paramount Plus. So this isn't like the Born Again perspective, and it's not like it's actually more of a liberal slant.
Oh.
So I'm not attacking you with this.
Schedule 1 drug is defined as a drug that has a very high potential for abuse, but no medical use whatsoever.
Defining cannabis that way defies much of what we now know about weed, though that knowledge is largely the result of research coming from beyond America's borders. Israel, the Netherlands, the UK, and Canada are leading the way in cannabis research.
Actually, in Israel, it was about half a century ago that they first isolated and discovered THC.
It was in the UK that the only FDA-approved drug derived from cannabis was developed. Epidiolex is now used worldwide to treat patients suffering from seizures.
Wow.
U.S. research on cannabis lags far behind, complicated by weed's continued Schedule 1 classification, which discourages scientists from studying it.
America's public
amazing.
enemy number one is drug abuse.
There's so much that's going to come out in the future about weed that everyone's going to be a believer no matter what. I'm so confident in just my own personal experience. Oh,
A revolution
I couldn't eat
The
food at all if it wasn't for weed.
prompted the government to accept that at least some research on this increasingly popular drug might be
That was
necessary.
propaganda film from the 60s.
And so, the School of Pharmacy at the University of Mississippi, Ole Miss, was granted a contract to provide standardized cannabis to researchers around the country. More than 50 years later, it remains the only source of federally legal weed anywhere in the U.S. Most of the research using weed grown here is conducted on animals, like Dr.
You don't need a bunch of high animals running around in circles.
Human studies. There are, however, a select few individuals who do receive pot directly from the Mississippi farm.
Yummy. Just like Granny used to make.
In this house, in this suburban neighborhood in
Oh
Fort
no, I
Lauderdale,
gotta go to the gym, man. I'll talk to you later. I'm sorry. I gotta bounce.
7-year-old stockbroker who also
All right. When you get back to the gym, send me a message. Maybe we could do the rest. I mean, unless you're just politely leaving.
Oh no, I have to go. You mean tonight later?
Yeah, if you're not too sleepy, just send me a message. Let me know if you want to.
Or maybe we could do it tomorrow.
If you
'cause
don't want to, it's okay.
well, tomorrow I'll have all my equipment, like my iPad working. It'll be easier.
All right, have a good workout.
Okay, man. See you.
so happens to smoke a lot of weed. Like a clockwork every month for the past 8 years. Reverend Roosevelt has been receiving shipments of marijuana free of charge in courtesy of the U.S. government. Legally packed into metal tins. Each delivery, postmarked Mississippi, contains 300
joints. Please question. Oh, as of the year 2020, you can smoke more than 36,000 government issued days.
This is how I became my medicine. For the 38 years, I believe it's been enlightened.
Urban is just tingle, not this sound going too much. Ratchet is tired. Body.
Multiple congenital cartilaginous exostosis.
Urban's told that it was a triple. And the tumors would only multiply as yellow.
Pain was excruciating.
By the time Urban was a teenager, he endured numerous surgeries and was hostage to an endless regimen of painkillers. But then, Urban went to college. It was the 70s. He tried marijuana for the first time. Urban quickly realized that cannabis would either pain in his bones more so than any medicine he ever taken, or a procedure he ever done.
So cheap. Hadn't taken it in 5-6 hours. And just to my left hand joint.
On the same time, Urban was having his own revelations about weed. Researchers at UCLA were discovering that cannabis could also help treat patients with glaucoma and eye conditioning that could lead to blindness. In 1978, Robert Randall, a patient associated with UCLA, sued the federal government for the right to legally use cannabis as medicine. This led to the establishment of the Compassionate Use Investigation of Drug Program, which is a lawyer saying the government started providing Randall with special delivered pre-rolled joint.
Randall, the first American ever to gain legal access to marijuana because of his own condition. He became the first person in the United States to receive medical cannabis program.
For 50 years, Urban and a few other patients joined Randall in an experimental government program.
They just delivered 8 ounces of marijuana to my doctor that day.
Marijuana, pot, grass, whatever you want to call it, is probably the most dangerous drug in the United States, and we haven't begun to find out all of the ill effects.
In the 1980s, as Reagan stepped at the war on drugs, the government kept its weed program on the down low, never enrolling more than a few dozen people. By the early 90s, the program was attracting more attention with a surge of applicants, many of them suffering from AIDS, sought medicinal relief. Conservative backlash ensued, and the government only hardened its stance on weed.
No medical study has indicated marijuana is significantly effective in controlling nausea and vomiting. We were ostracized. We were arguing for medical marijuana. And people were against us. But we were right.
Many in the medical community believed Urban was right, but the government did not, ultimately closing the program to new applicants in 1991.
Pain said, well,
Though nobody knew who would be allowed to join, those already in the program would continue to receive government supply weed. To news that program survived, Urban is one of them. Despite establishing the program for the purposes of research, the government has never published any scientific data on the outcome of Urban's weed use, or that of any other patient. But an independent study published in 2002 found that several decades of smoking government pot had quite positive effects, with all patients doing well and taking fewer pharmaceuticals than before.
when I die, if I can help someone else live longer because of learning more about my disorder through me, then it makes me feel good. I mean, that's been the whole point of teaching people about medical marijuana.
What is the fastest growing group of cannabis consumers in the US?
said seniors, 65 and overs, give yourself a tie-dye star. That's right. The same generation responsible for popularizing it in the 60s is now flocking to dispensaries in their 60s and 70s, and sometimes older. Most boomers are consuming medical marijuana, eager to relieve the aches and pains of aging or looking for a better night's sleep. At least, that's what they tell the grandkids. As of 2019, travelers are free to enter LAX carrying up to 28.5 grams of weed. But psych, once you reach TSA, you may be SOL. The TSA is a federal agency, and weed remains illegal at the federal level, regardless of what state law might be in the city where you're born. So while they are not necessarily looking to bust you for that dime bag you're carrying, they just might if they find it. If they don't, it's worth considering what might happen when you reach your destination. Just because weed is legal in the place from which you're taking off doesn't mean it will be where you land. Besides, the plane itself is also under federal jurisdiction. So you best not tamper with that smoke detector in the laboratory. And you best be careful if you're hiding that hash. Is my name so to smoke?
As recently as 2016, a study of cannabis sold in medical dispensaries in California found harmful pathogens in every single sample tested.
Cannabis chemistry straddles a lot of different product categories, so regulating cannabis was difficult.
2 years later, California enacted some of the nation's strictest controls. Now,
Cannabis in California is actually regulated to a level that's more stringent than most of these products that we're going to come across. So when you purchase cannabis at a licensed retail dispensary in California, you're getting one of the cleanest consumer products you can get.
and that's because of testing protocols that have been implemented in state licensed labs all across California. Like this one here in Santa Cruz.
First, we're testing for potency or dosage, and that's testing for the cannabinoids that can have intoxicating effects. Then we also test for potential contaminants. Things like pesticides, heavy metals, residual solvents.
Among other tests used to sniff out some of those contaminants, the lab performs a technique called real-time quantitative polymerase chain reaction. It sounds pretty complicated because it is. Let's just say that this process entices the bad stuff to reveal itself by emitting a fluorescent glow.
We also look for microbiological pathogens like E. coli, salmonella, things that make you food sick, as well as pathogens like aspergillus that can be especially dangerous to inhale, especially for immunocompromised patients.
Controlling the THC levels determines the dosage of the cannabis product. It's similar to the way we know the amount of alcohol contained in any given shot of vodka.
So those are the standard tests that form every batch of cannabis sold in California.
Those tests aren't happening everywhere. Even in some states that have legalized, dirty weed is still for sale. Because of its continued illegal status at the federal level, national safety standards aren't likely anytime soon. So regulating weed remains free for all, whether it's the stuff you smoke or the stuff you eat.
Incredible edibles.
Still haunted by that pot brownie incident back in high school.
We get it. Without those fancy testing machines at labs like the one in Santa Cruz, it would be impossible to predict just how big that batch your friend baked was going to get you. Today, though, as the demand for non-smoke weed grows, the art of controlling how you get from edibles is actually an increasingly exact science. That science starts here. Step one in converting the cannabis plant into stone delicacies. These are custom built cannabinoid extraction sheets. Cannabis plants are dropped in the top before supercritical carbon dioxide is deployed with enough pressure to crush the human skull. Over a 10-hour course, the CO2 strips away most of the unnecessary plant material and leaves behind a thick, foamy, yellow goo. Inside the extract are fats, waxes, and THC, the stuff that actually gets you high. The yellow goo is run through another machine. This one called a rotary evaporator. The rotovap's just spinning machine acts like a vacuum, for stripping away excess water, wax, and fat. What's finally left behind is oil, made up almost entirely now of nothing but cannabinoids. And yet, a swig of this oil wouldn't actually get you stoned. At least not yet. To activate THC and cannabinoids, you need to add heat. And once you do, the result is an ultra potent oil. Now, if you drink a cup of this, it will in fact get you very, very high. Lovely. Once this one, potency to be carefully controlled, allow processes to determine precisely and consistently the exact strength of each of their eyes. What consume? Caution. The effects may vary widely from person to person, even if you chop down on the same dosage. So, who's got the munchies?
Munchies? Did someone say munchies? Munchies. Nachos. Pop tarts. Double chili cheeseburger with bacon. How about pepperoni pizza with spicy ranch to wash it down? Along a cliche of server culture, munchies are actually for real, like an actual scientific thing. Blame it on the THC, which flips a switch in your brain, triggering the release of a hormone that tells your body it's starting, even when it's not. While that might do a little more than inspire a midnight snack or two for you, THC is providing real medical benefit to those who are sick, restoring the will to eat in patients undergoing chemotherapy, suffering from AIDS or other conditions that cause loss of appetite. THC is helping them find strength at a time when they need all the strength they can get. High school.
Worth over $40 billion. Weed is the second most valuable crop in the country, topped only by corn. And as its legitimacy grows, thousands are now eager to join one of America's fastest growing industries.
Good morning, Amsterdam. Good morning. Wonderful to have you this morning.
California sits Amsterdam University, America's first cannabis college, attracting students from around the world with a wide-ranging cannabis curriculum, offering classes on everything from cultivation to business administration.
I didn't really pay attention in school. I didn't really care about grades, but when it came to cannabis, I was always just researching and constantly learning more.
When I was studying university, like every time the class would get boring, I would like figure out myself on shit like weed business. I felt like, wait, man, I'm studying this. There has to be something. And I searched it up and I ended up here.
Amsterdam was founded in 2007 and counted 20 students among its first class, long before recreation weed was legal. But now that it is, the school has transformed into a thriving job training center where enrollment continues to grow.
Almost done. I'm in week 12. I've been learning a lot, and I hope to own a cultivation facility.
My future goal in the industry is to cultivate specific strains for patients. Education, advocacy.
I want to dispensary.
Knowledge is power. Sure, but so is money. And you're going to need that too if you plan on starting a business. That requires obtaining a special license, usually from either the city or the state, but only so many licenses are issued, and along with huge fees and complicated restrictions. Competition for the few that are drives up the cost.
On average in California, the reports on the retail level of these purchasing dispensary licenses for about $2 to $10 million, but it fluctuates.
You do manage to clear that financial hurdle. The criminal record gotta be clean. Most cities and states bar those with drug-related offenses from entering the industry. And as a result, some have been disproportionately denied opportunities.
If you have a felony, you're also likely to be left or round because of racial disparities. To make it very clear how unfair that is and how that excludes communities of color, we want to make sure that we are not excluding people based on felonies.
Here in Oakland, they've established a social equity program. Those with cannabis-related criminal records predating legalization, but those that grew up in over-policed communities during that same time are moved toward the front of the license line. It's essentially reparations for war on drugs.
Having an element of restorative justice where we put back into the communities that were so abused in civil justice. It will make a big difference. And people of color, particularly, like them, see they are no longer going to be marching. They're going to have a look. There's action. They have very profound effect. People still in prison for weed-related crimes.
Believe it or not, despite being legal in 45 states, more people in the United States are still arrested for marijuana violations. If any other reason, more than 650,000 people busted every year. But very few will actually land in prison. If they do, chances are their stay won't be long. These days, the multi-decade sentences of the war on drugs are mostly in the past. But being arrested for weed can still totally mess up your life. Posting bail, hiring a lawyer, court fees, a single joint could end up costing you tens of thousands of dollars. Race continues to be a factor as the disparities in the enforcement of drug laws persist. While studies consistently show that all races use and sell cannabis in equal measure, Black and brown people are still disproportionately arrested for weed-related crimes. Are more likely to draw longer sentences if convicted. So the consequences of getting busted by is really costly and far-reaching. A student loan, a job, even the right to vote.
All of those things you might want tomorrow be affected by the rest that happens today. Just that's like rest.
2010, 25 years old. I come home to Michigan. We have a little get together. There was no more than 10 people. I fall asleep. I wake up. There's a loud knocks at the door. That's where the grandma's police. They found marijuana. It wasn't even my person, but it was my house. So I was going to fall jail for it.
Johnny said just 3 days behind bars, but they get on. Has been able to put that rest behind him.
Still haunts me on my residence day. Everything I do to that. Name warrant, background check. It pops up. 2017, I applied for 7 or 8 different places to live. And one of them said the same thing. He told me that I have this on my record. They turned me down.
Eventually, Johnny managed to land a job coaching high school football and working with special needs students.
When I got the job, I was getting some papers as well. And the papers stated to me that there's a zero tolerance for me to have any police activity just because of my record. It was kind of scary. I'm a black man, and if I get pulled over, I lose my job. I'm like a major factor in this kid. It's like I'm one of 2 black staff in school. I was hoping everything on record was going to be expunged, but that was not the case. Stop me from being able to live with life.
Out of the 16 states that have legalized even recreational use of weed, Michigan and Alaska are the only 2 that have failed to clear away residents to expunge their populated records.
I'm stopped in my tracks just because of this case that happened in 2020. They would definitely take everything and make it a criminal.
iTunes.
Have a little get together. There was no more than 10 people. I fall asleep and I wake up.
Using sell cannabis in equal measure, black and brown people are still disproportionately arrested for weed-related crimes and are more likely to draw longer sentences if convicted. So the consequences of getting busted for pot can still be costly and far-reaching. On that student loan, a job, even your right to vote. All of those things you might want tomorrow will be affected by the rest that happens today. Just as Johnny Perez.
2010, 25 years old. I come home to Michigan. We have a little get together. There was no more than 10 people. I fall asleep. I wake up to loud knocks at the door. That's where the grandma's police. They found marijuana. It wasn't even on my person, but it was my house. So I was the one to jail for it.
Johnny spent just 3 days behind bars, but a decade on, has still not able to put that arrest behind him.
Still haunts me on my record to this day. Everything I do, like name warrant, background check. This pops up. 2017, I applied for 7 or 8 different places to live. All of them said the same thing. They told me that I have this on my record. They turned me down.
Eventually, Johnny managed to land a job coaching high school football and working with special needs students.
When I got the job, I was having some papers as well. And the papers stated to me that there's a zero tolerance for me to have any police activity just because of my record. It was kind of scary.
because I'm a black man, and if I get pulled over, I lose my job. And I'm like, I'm a major factor in these kids. Like, I'm one of two black staff in school. I was hoping that everything on my record was going to get expunged, but that was not the case. It's stopping me from being able to live a different life.
Out of the 16 states that have legalized even recreational use of weed, Michigan and Alaska are the only two that failed to clear the way for residents to expunge their populated rents.
I'm stopped in my tracks just because of this case that happened in 2010. They definitely take everything with me for that criminal. Hi. An officer and a black man. Nestled along the Southern California coastline is the picture-perfect city of Santa Barbara. And home to one of the most hospitable climates in the United States for growing weed. Home to about a third of California's legal marijuana farmland. Harvesting product for the state's $3 billion legal market. Oh, yeah, this is industrial cannabis agriculture. 3 houses is cultivating 500,000 square feet of weed.
It's just so awesome. It's like, Chris, it looks like it's dipped in sugar.
Graham Farrar learned how to grow weed back in college. Nurturing 6 plants at a time in his closet.
It's such a cool plant. There's just so much in it.
Today, Graham is president of Glass House Farms, the company that owns this farm operation.
The trichomes is basically the fruiting body of the cannabis plant. And those trichomes are THC and CBD.
Industrial scale cannabis farms like this one require an enormous amount of light. Here in Santa Barbara, sunshine is free. When legalization happened in California, Graham teamed up with Kyle Kazan, whose previous line of work made him an interesting but not unusual choice of partner.
Before I got all this, some years ago I was a police officer, and so I was actively engaged in the drug war, which is take people to jail for growing, using, selling.
In other words,